All right, we have Laura on the phone, Lorna's mom.
I just want to thank everybody for standing up for my daughter. I just can't get over the outpour of how much they're just there. And I just thank God that they're speaking out, because this should have never happened to her. And I'm so thankful everybody's just standing up beside us. I sat there holding her hand for 4 days on life support, just praying she'd come back to me. But now we all know she didn't. But this has got to stop. This has got to stop now. I can't see anybody going through this again. They've got to do something, because I can't see another family go through this. She was my everything, my whole world. She was my only child. And this should have never happened. And they know it should have never happened.
What would you like to see the Cannabis Control Commission do about this?
They need to step up. They need to step up and do what's right. Nobody should have to lose their life for some industry. And that's what happened to my daughter. She lost her life for this industry. And they need to admit it. They took her away when I didn't have to lose her. And they let it happen, knowing that it could happen. And I had no idea. I should have been protecting my daughter. And I didn't even know I should. I didn't protect my daughter. And they didn't protect my daughter.
Former employee of a local cannabis company reached out to our newsroom, concerned that their growing process may not be safe for the public's consumption. Western Mass News reporter Paris Dunford spoke with this employee exclusively, who wanted to remain anonymous to learn more.
A former employee of the cannabis dispensary HEKA Incorporated out of Westfield sent us this video of the cannabis plants at the growing facility. They report seeing spider mites, mold, and mildew covering the marijuana plant.
Extreme overrun powdery mildew and mold that is infecting all of the flower in the facility.
The former employee has more than 6 years of experience in the marijuana industry. They say that HEKA knowingly distributed the marijuana, which the employee says is unsafe for the public to smoke.
Powdery mildew is very dangerous for anyone that has a lung medical issue. It can produce further lung infections.
The Cannabis Control Commission has strict policies that dispensaries are required to follow. This includes sending their plants in for testing, which the former employee says the company has found a way around that.
Out of a batch of maybe 1,000 plants, you only have to send in a few grams of that batch to be tested. So those will be hand selected thoroughly to make sure that they're clean. Once those selected samples pass testing, the remainder of the batch then automatically gets approved for testing.
We reached out to the Cannabis Control Commission, and they said they had already received a complaint about HEKA Incorporated's plants. They released a statement to Western Mass News that reads, quote, "The Cannabis Control Commission received this inquiry on Friday, May 27th, and is looking into it. In general, the agency takes seriously the health and safety of patients and consumers who purchase product from licensed facilities and the agents who staff them. Commission staff will continue to conduct scheduled and unannounced inspections of marijuana establishments and medical marijuana treatment centers, including routine compliance checks, inquiries, and investigations into constituent complaints." Reporting in Westfield, Paris Dunford for Western Mass News.
We did reach out to HEKA Incorporated, both through email and calling their Westfield dispensary phone, but they didn't return our request for comment.
Anna, thank you. Two former employees of a local marijuana company reached out to our newsroom, concerned that their growing process may not be safe for the public's consumption.
Western Mass News reporter Kristen Burnell joins us live in studio with that exclusive story. Kristen?
Chris and Mary, those two former employees also tell me they were fired from their jobs this week without reason. Now, one of them is speaking out, sharing why they are concerned that the marijuana grown at this facility in Westfield is not safe for the public to smoke.
I was greeted by the manager, and he handed me a paper and said, "Sorry, we have to let you go." And I looked at him and said, "Why? Like, is there an explanation?" And he shrugged and then like kind of pushed me out the door. 2 kids under the age of 10 getting fired 12 days before Christmas is kind of definitely bad for me right now.
Carla Conti is a former employee of the cannabis dispensary HEKA Incorporated out of Westfield. She is speaking exclusively with Western Mass News after she says she was wrongly fired from her job at the cultivation facility on Tuesday. She tells us she was just about to hit the 90-day mark for receiving benefits. Conti shared these photos with Western Mass News of the cannabis plants at the growing facility. She tells us they are unsafe for the public to smoke.
The dirt that we use is covered in mold, and I was the person who had to break up the dirt. So we are actually planting in moldy dirt at this point.
Back in June earlier this year, another former employee at the same cannabis dispensary spoke with Western Mass News, sharing similar concerns. And another employee who wishes to remain anonymous tells us they were also fired this week without reason and echoed Conti's complaints. Now Conti is also raising another concern about the management at the company.
The bosses, the people who are in charge of the cultivation right now, have no degree in cultivation or experience. So you have people who are just uneducated trying to cultivate weed that people who are smoking for medical purposes.
The Massachusetts Cannabis Control Commission has strict policies that local dispensaries are required to follow. We did reach out to the Cannabis Control Commission for a response regarding these claims. They tell us in a statement in part, quote, "This remains an active inquiry, and the Commission continues to engage the licensee to ensure compliance with its regulations. The agency has no further update at this time."
Now, we also reached out to HEKA Incorporated, but they did not return our request for comment. Reporting live in studio, Kristen Burnell, Western Mass News.
Kristen.
Welcome, Mike Crawford, Young Jerks. We're sticking on the worker safety issue for employees in the cannabis space, the cannabis industry in Massachusetts. Tonight, we have a guest that you just saw on Western Mass News that we're going to bring up here. And it's about everything that we've been covering. We haven't done a show in a few weeks now. It's because some things are happening behind the scenes. And I might share some of my my internal thoughts on everything tonight. And hopefully some updates about what's going on workers in Massachusetts and some of our upcoming plans as well. But let's get to the guest, because this is another location that we're always talking about, other locations, other dispensaries, and that it's not just True Leaf, that this issue for cannabis worker safety is throughout the cannabis industry in Massachusetts, and it's in the cultivation sites. We know this. We hear from the employees, and this is just another example. The first clip that we played tonight, after we heard from, in the intro clip, you heard from Lorna's mom, Laura, which you heard on this show. And we added that to a clip that came up in May of this year from a location in Westfield, Mass, called HEKA Incorporated. And more recently, just the last couple of days, there's been another follow-up story with another employee speaking about some of the same issues after she was let go just before hitting the 90-day mark, right before Christmas. Merry Christmas to her. So we're going to bring her up, and we're going to talk to her about the issue of the powdery mildew, the spider mites, all of this that continues to happen throughout Massachusetts cannabis. So let's bring her up. Her name is Carla Conti. Hi, Carla.
Hi. Hey.
How you doing tonight?
Good, you?
Excellent. Now, you saw that clip with Laura, the mom of Lorna that we played tonight.
Yeah.
Were you
Yes,
familiar with that death happening in Massachusetts
That
recently?
happened like the first week I started working at HEKA, that happened. So I wasn't, no one really talked about it. It was so hush hush. As soon as it happened, that was it. Like, no one talked about how she died, the precautions and stuff. It was just very quiet. But it's
what about
super
more
unfortunate.
recently while working there? Did you hear anything about it over the last couple months? No one was talking about it.
No, it was just talk, maybe 5 minutes. That was it. It was very quiet, hush hush.
Now we've been pushing the headline about the moldy soil. It's gotta, get some engagement up, because I know there'll be some know-it-alls that say good soil has some mold in it, which is actually surprisingly true.
No, yeah.
But it
I mean, this
depends.
was like the whole like side of the dirt, like which is the whole bit was covered in mold to the point where I had to wear a mask. I mean, it was obvious, like the whole dirt was just engulfed with it. And I was like, dude, there has to be other dirt. Like, we can't use this. And they didn't care. They still used it.
Was it getting
But I mean, it
into
was,
the air?
oh yeah, like it was all up when you do the dirt, it's all up your nose, you're breathing it in. So I had to go and get my own masks. They weren't giving it to us. So
they
yeah,
didn't
there's a
provide
lot
you
of
mask.
employees.
What kind of mask were you using?
I just used the regular that you use at going to the stores, like just
Like
your regular
COVID
cloth
mask.
mask.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I use.
And
I don't
did
know
you
if it worked, but
I think
Go
it's
ahead.
better than nothing, but I don't think it's really what you
Yeah.
need. Did you
No,
feel
especially-
effects from working around this moldy dirt?
I can't say yes or no. I couldn't say. Probably not no. Just it's really up in your nose when you take a shower. I mean, you're cleaning out everything. Yeah, it's everywhere.
So you
So
did
you're
have that
definitely in
effect
it.
that you're cleaning it out
Oh
after
yeah,
work.
it's up your nose for sure. Like you take a shower and you clean, and yeah,
Now,
it's definitely.
we've talked to a lot of other employees at other locations, other plants, other dispensary chains. Did you see issues in cultivation where people were on a lot of meds that they weren't on before, that they were allergic or had new asthma from working there? Did you see any of that at the
Yes, I saw people move from like cultivation to processing because they're allergic to the plants. I myself had to wear different like clothing because when I was with the plants, I would be itchy from head to toe. So there were there were people being allergic to it for sure.
And
Like
so
of the
now
plants.
the powdery mildew mold that we saw in the plants in the first video from May, it looks like May of this year from another story that they did before they featured you just more recently. It looks like this spidery mildew. It looks like this
Yeah.
spider. Whatever we were calling those, the bugs and the
Those
mites.
bugs.
Yeah, they had the
Yep,
bugs, and
you
they
got
also
'em.
had the mildew, powdery mildew, the cobwebs.
The mildew. Oh yeah, the bugs were ridiculous. You can see them all over your gloves. If you look down on your phone to see what time it is, you can see them all over your phone. You would have to spray yourself with alcohol when you go into different rooms because some don't have them. Overall, they all have them.
So
It's
you
like-
saw all of that.
Yeah, everything that like they reported before me, I saw myself, and I don't even know who it was that reported the first time. So this isn't just disgruntled employees. This is employees telling the public something's up. I wouldn't buy it. And employees don't even buy it. Like cultivators who cultivate the weed aren't even buying the weed themselves to smoke. So, I mean, I just wanted the public to know all this.
Yeah, and what did management say when this is obvious? I'm sure employees brought this to them. What would they say about it?
I brought when I was doing the moldy dirt, I brought it to their attention multiple times because I was breathing it in and I'm older. I don't want to breathe this stuff in, So I brought it up to them and they kept denying it and doing this. They don't care. But let alone they don't even have the degrees to cultivate themselves. They don't have the experience. If they have the degree, they don't have the experience. But either way, like my bosses had no experience in doing what they're doing. So I mean, we don't even know if we're doing it right, really. You know what I mean?
Now, the Cannabis Control Commission, we've been like over the last months, we've totally hammered them and called them a sham and a cover-up agency.
Yeah.
More recently, I've been a little more silent and waiting for them to take some action. It seems like we have a new group of commissioners, and I'm hopeful. And I'm kind of been biting my tongue, and I'm working with some of them, and I'm kind of torn on whether how patient I can be, and like I don't want to screw it up too at the same time. And there are some good things we're going to read from commissioners tonight too. Some correspondence, like I'm actually I want to say like Shannon O'Brien, the new chair of the Cannabis Control Commission. She gives me some hope. Like I'm just going to put that out there for everyone. I feel like there is some hope there, but at the same time, how do you feel about the Cannabis Control Commission? Do you think that they're really going to take this seriously this time or not? Like, what is your feeling?
I've worked there for like almost to my 90 days, and I have never seen them walk into the door, dude. So I don't know what they're doing, but I know I cultivated at HEKA, and I really seriously did not see any of these people coming in out of the building or viewing the weed or viewing how we process it or just anybody. So I don't know what they're doing. Hopefully they're doing something right, because people are consuming this and they're probably going to get sick eventually with it all.
Did you ever hear anyone suggest a union for like any of the employees? Any talk about that at all?
No, all the employees are kind of younger. So like, I mean, no one really talked about that now.
Yeah. And they are always younger. They're picking people who they can.
They're young, very young, like just fresh out of high school young. And then the people that like kind of see too much or know too much are the older females usually. And they get canned before 90 days. No explanation, not even a word. So it's like, it is what it is.
Do you think that's why they let you go? Because you were asking questions and you were older and female?
Yeah, because another female who I don't work with, who works like, somewhere else in the building, was suspicious with same things. And she got let go the same way, no explanation. The same day I got let go. And we were both just 90 days, like just a few days away from our 90 day. So it's just, you just did that to two different females because we were seeing too much and there's nothing you can do, because you're at will in Massachusetts. So, I mean, you can get fired for that, for nothing, and it stinks.
It sucks right before Christmas too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I even messaged them, like I emailed them and then I called them like a few hours later that day and I reached out just for an explanation. Maybe you were on your phone or just something. And they didn't even reply to any of it. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like, you're not giving me anything other than a shrug and like, here's your paycheck. Like, I don't know. If they're like that to their employees, just imagine how much they care about the public. Just that's how we kind of see it in a way.
Did you see a lot of turnover there? Did a lot of people come in and going? Like
yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Like I came in because they just fired a group of people and then they fired us and they're bringing in another group of people. Like that's what they're doing. Cause like I said, I didn't even meet the person who did it the first time, who like went to the news the first time, because they just fired them and then hired me, second group. And then they, let us go. So yeah, that they're definitely doing that. Absolutely.
A couple comments online. One Facebook user wrote, "An N95 mask is called for," and another one says, "What does the local Board of Health say?" Have you talked to the Westfield Board of Health at all, or heard from them?
No, I haven't done any. No, okay. So I don't know what they say.
Yep. Now,
maybe they'll start.
Let me ask you another question, because someone at True Leaf, Lorna, passed away, 27 years old, 2 ambulance rides within months from the facility, having breathing issues before, first time in her life. And it started when she started working at True Leaf. Do you feel like that a place like HEKA, it could happen there as well?
Oh my God, yeah, because the people who process, who are working in the rooms that the same person worked there, don't have masks on. Even after the death of this person, they still don't mandate masks. So these people are still going and dealing with this fine marijuana with no masks for 8+ hours a day. So yeah, I mean, I think eventually, hopefully not, but probably will if they don't fix it.
I hope not.
I know, but they need to, start fixing now before another tragedy happens. For sure.
I was speaking to an ex-employee from HEKA Incorporated. It's a manufacturer cultivation site out in Westfield, Massachusetts. They also have a dispensary, right, as well? They sell it at?
The same building. So they sell it where they cook it. Yeah.
In Westfield. And she was recently let go right before the 90-day mark. She's reported the mold to the media, as several other people have powdery mildew. And we're also hearing about the bugs that you had to peel off your phone. I don't think the general public or even like the government legislators get the risk that cannabis workers go through, or even new cannabis workers who, like you said, are just out of high school. What would you tell them about the industry? You've experienced it now, 90 days more than most. What would you say to them, that, like, even if their sons or daughters are thinking about working at one of these places?
I would say, fine. People are going to college for years for something I did and have no experience in. So these cultivation department, like, they're not hiring anyone with experience. So, I mean, do what you want to do, go to college, get the right experience, but I can't guarantee you to pursue or do anything in Western Mass with it. Just because Western Mass right now, like I said, they're not even hiring people with experience. And it's just a bunch of people growing really crappy weed. This is supposed to be fun where you're a part of this movement, where you're being able to sell weed for like legal. This is crazy. And they're just taking this and frying the weed and giving you moldy, crappy weed just to take your money. It's not like what you thought. They don't care about the product and they don't care about the people. They just care about the pockets. And unfortunately, that's what you'll find when you work there.
Let me ask you
So I
another
guess-
question. Cannabis Control Commission right now is thinking about setting up like a hotline that employees could call in if there are issues like that you're talking about. Do you think that
I think
would
that
help?
would work. Yeah. Because what we're worried about is losing our job. We want to cultivate. That's why we want to go to work. This is fun. This is my dream job. I want to be able to do it right. You know what I mean? So I want to be able to reach out, not get in trouble for reaching out, fix the issue since I'm the one seeing the issue. So I think that would definitely work out. Absolutely. Everything would be anonymous. So.
Yeah, I like it, but then they have to actually do something. You know what I mean?
They have to.
Like,
And
I
it
felt like
makes sense.
way back, DPH had a hotline for medical patients, and they never did anything when we called. But eventually, I
really?
think they did react because we kept on them. But I hope if they set up the hotline, it actually means they take action or do something, or do more training. Danny Carson wrote, he's great. He's been on the show several times. A great whistleblower, a friend of Lorna McMurrey. He actually was there when he was her supervisor. He hired her, so he to this day feels great responsibility for her. And he's been on it. He deserves an award. Danny does. He's a great person. Danny wrote, I love the hotline number. And Danny, hopefully we're gonna read your email that you got from the new chair of the Cannabis Control Commission, Shannon O'Brien, that you shared with me on the show tonight. And thank you for writing her and emailing and doing everything that you've been doing. I know that you've also talked to some other folks at the Cannabis Control Commission. That's what we're asking people to do. The workers, they need to hear from you. The Cannabis Control Commission needs to hear these stories. Email them directly. We have their email addresses. We put them in the video at the beginning of the show. You can always replay it back and find them, or you can just ask me, hit me up, DM me wherever you are on social media, and I'll get those right over to you. Their email addresses. They're also on the Cannabis Control Commission of Massachusetts. It's right on their website. You can find all their email addresses. Email the Cannabis Control Commissioners if you're a worker and you have issues related to your health and safety specifically, but any other issues, if they're cheating you for wages or tips, anything they're doing wrong, these commissioners need to know about it, because the employers are getting away with almost murder at this point. And we've been starting to expose it, and we're going to stay on it. And I think the Cannabis Control Commission is starting to notice it and feel the heat and the pressure from the Globe and all of the other newspapers and websites and Leafly and High Times and Forbes magazine that wrote about Lorna. And hopefully this issue becomes a nationwide, because this is happening all over the country. And people aren't prepared or aware of the issue. So we have to make sure that we're educating the commissioners, because they don't even know what the hell they're dealing with. And some of them are starting to listen to the show and the podcast, which is very helpful. So I want to thank folks like Danny and yourself tonight, Carla Conti, who's a guest, for stepping forward, for raising your hand, for saying this isn't right. And I know you take a lot of pushback, you lose a lot because you might not get hired at the next job, and people do question you, and they always have well, what about this or what about that? But in the end, you're standing up for so many people, so many workers, and it really matters. And I want to thank you, Danny, and I want to thank you, Carla Conti, for joining the chorus of workers.
Man. Yeah, just
Since
hopefully
you've done this,
people
have you met?
listen.
Because there are quite a bit, like we have Anna Hassel, we have Danny. There's quite a few workers that we've talked to and we've met. It's almost like a community at this point.
Yeah.
Have you met some of them? Do you feel like that, Carla, since you came forward and spoke to the media?
Yeah, no, there's a lot of different people that have reached out with their own little stories and like thanking me for speaking out. That's why I never even knew it was a movement until after I went on the news. And I was like, wait, this has been going on for way longer than I've even been in Massachusetts at this point. Like, this is definitely crazy. But I'm like happy to speak out because it's what it is, you know. This isn't good. I wouldn't recommend buying it.
Excellent. Is there anything people could do to help you out right now? I know you're it's Christmas and you have kids and it's a tough
Yeah,
time
just
for you.
I gave my Cash App. So hopefully if anyone wants to help out, that would be great.
You have a Cash App? What is it?
Yeah, I don't know. I can message it to you if you want me to. I have like
I
on
was
a
wondering if we
screenshot.
could put it up on the screen now. I should have asked you earlier.
Okay. Yeah, can I like message it to you?
Yeah, you can get it.
Sure.
Yeah. And we're the Young Jerks. We're talking to Carla Conti. She did work at HEKA Incorporated in Westfield, Massachusetts. She was recently laid off. Some other employees, a lot of layoffs coming in the cannabis industry right now. And a lot of information comes out when they lay off people about the bad working conditions, about the powdery mildew and spider mites at this place. So
I messaged it to you, so
you messaged it to me? Was it the private chat or was it Facebook?
Facebook.
What is it?
Facebook, the messenger one.
Facebook. Yeah, I can look at it there.
Okay,
So
cool.
we're just gonna set. So if people want to give a contribution to Carla right now, we're gonna set up it on the screen with the Cash App, and I'm just checking the account right now so we can put that on the screen. It would definitely tell us about here it is. It's KONTE 221.
KCONT.
Yes, thank you. I'm gonna put it on the screen. Here we go. K Conti 221. I think we got it on there. Is that right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
There we go. So if you want to send money to help out Carla on the Cash App, it's K Conti 221 on the Cash App. You can definitely send a contribution. I'm sure it's not great to get laid off right before Christmas. It's like
no, definitely not. I was supposed to be getting like a paycheck like the Wednesday before Christmas, so that was supposed to help a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then there's no warning. Like I said, if there was something, then I would be like, sorry guys. Well, this is the reason, but there was no. Other than I was close to my 90-day insurance.
That stinks. It's not good.
No, like there's nothing I can do though. No, unfortunately.
And we did get another. I know that we had another statement. I want to read that too, from another employee at HEKA. This gentleman said, "I used to work at HEKA. What has been stated to the news is true. They send all of their product through an X-ray machine to kill all of the mold and powdery mildew right before sending it to get tested." I want to stop right there. Did you see the rad machines at HEKA?
The X-ray ones?
Yeah, the radiation machines?
Yeah, I have. They're in the processing. I don't work back there, but I've seen them. But I haven't seen them do it. You know what I mean? But I've seen the machines. Yeah. Yep.
All right. I'm going to continue to read this. They started to wash their weed with a mix of hydrogen peroxide and lemon juice because of the mold issue. The owner, if you want to call him that, is just a CEO that has a majority stake in the company. He thinks he knows it all when it comes to weed, keeping the plant under constant light for 20 plus hours a day, no matter what stage they are in. I get if you're trying to veg the plant, but when it comes to growing, you can't do that. So many plants have nutrient burn or even sunburns. The plants grow through the lighting fixtures. I mean, did you see a lot of this?
Yeah, like every single thing that he said absolutely is positively the truth. Every single thing. They grow, the weed plants grow through the light fixtures, so they're all getting burned. Obviously that's not okay. They do dip the weed in 3 different large containers. I don't know what the fluid is in each container. They don't tell me, but they do dip all this weed into unknown substances. I don't know what they are. And then they bring it out to dry. And from there, I don't really see it because I don't process it. But I mean, yeah, everything he said was true. Like they really are burnt and they grow through like the fixtures.
Now,
I don't know
what-
why. I don't know why they don't lift the lights. And the lights are on 24/7. It's over
That's
80
crazy.
degrees. It's like sometimes 90 degrees. It's really humid. I want to say, I can't tell you exactly how humid it is, but I know it's more than it should be.
Do you know if they do
For-
any testing of the air or the humidity?
Oh, no. No. I've never seen them myself do it. And I worked back there for all this time.
So do you know
They
if they
just
ever
have-
do any safety trainings?
Not that I have seen. No.
Did you know how to get out of the building for a fire drill, like a fire exit? You know where the fire,
No.
no one ever told you where the
They
fire
didn't.
exit is.
No.
See, this is the basic
They didn't
stuff
even
that
tell me. They didn't even tell me how to like do anything. They just put me in the room and was like, "Hey, can you trim this leaf?" And I'm like, "I can try. I have not dealt with weed in like 10 years, dude. Like, I'll try to do what I can do." Thought this
So
was
they-
crazy that I even got hired for this because I had no qualification.
So when you
I mean-
were dealing with the soil, did they give you any kind of note, like, you know, warning or like information about like this could be dangerous if you inhale it?
No, absolutely not. They were just like, this is how you break up the soil. And I was like, okay. And I'm breaking it up and I'm like, I know what mold smells like, dude. And I know what mold looks like. And can I have a mask? And they're like, oh, we don't have one. We can, and I luckily had one. I was like, okay, I'm just, this is obviously not okay.
Yeah, it's just outrageous. Like I can't imagine working in a plant location where they don't even tell you where the fire exits are, like day one, like minute
No,
one.
I know. It was crazy. Definitely not organized. But like I said, then you have the boss people who aren't qualified for this. So they're just winging it. They don't know what they're doing just as much as I didn't know what I was doing when they hired me with no experience. Like, that's what I
Let me
was
ask you a
shocked.
couple more
I just,
questions. Did you
Go
ever
ahead.
see any fires, explosions, or ambulances for workers there?
no.
Okay, that's pretty good for 90 days. I think
Yeah.
Truly
No ambulance
usually
or fires.
and Netta, we're like having them every 30 days or so.
Wow. No.
Did you
No,
ever hear of
nothing was-
any workers getting really sick from the air?
Yes. I mean, at one point, everyone that was in the back room, like processing, they all got sick and there was no one processing anymore because everybody in that room was sick. So, I mean, whether they all had the flu, we don't know, but everybody was sick with breathing problems at that one point.
A lot of people
So-
that haven't had any experience with cannabis always say, "What's the processing room?" I understand because I use cannabis, but how does this stuff
Yeah.
get processed? What does that entail? What's the risk back there? Because that seems like that's what Lorna was doing. She was processing pre-rolls or
Yes.
keef or something, apparently.
Yep. The keef. Yep.
So
Now,
tell
like,
us,
you're
what is
supposed to
what goes
wear-
on back there? What is the process? Why is it
I
so
can't-
risky?
I don't know because I was just the cultivator working with like growing the plants and in the plant room growing. And then there's a whole section of the other building doing the processing. So I like was never over there. But I do know they never wore masks. And I know basically just that at this point.
Yeah, seems
That
like
just they didn't wear a mask. It was unsafe. All the same people got sick all the time. So yeah, they don't care.
What's the water cooler discussion among employees there? Like when you're, when people are talking about the work or the company, what do people say? Are they like shit
What do
talking or are
people-
they lying?
Oh, no one buys the weed from HEKA. That no one that cultivates. If we buy it, we just buy it so the company can see we buy it, just so they think. No one smokes it. We always go to one dispensary in East Hampton, which is called Fire Ants, and they just have good prices, good people, and the whole talk of the cultivation center is basically Fire Ants, and basically, so no one smokes the stuff that we cultivate. No one even messes with any HEKA products. We all just kind of get our paycheck and go to the other dispensary.
So no one there that you knew of was using the HEKA product. They're going to another dispensary
No.
because they don't trust
If
it.
they
Wow.
picked it up, they picked it up just so everyone could see it because it's cheap, but they don't smoke it. They'll give it away to like a friend or something. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But no one smokes it.
Danny
So-
Carson, I'm going to post a comment he just made here. If I can get it up, here it goes. He says, wow, wow, wow. Huge problems. HEKA cultivation employee lives are at danger with this lack of leadership and basic safety awareness. Watch out for your people, everyone, please. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. I mean, this is definitely, like I said, a big problem because now the public is smoking this and the public can get very sick from this, especially if it's not regulated at all. I mean, so definitely, especially if you're buying this stuff for people's Christmas or I don't know. I know you probably can't return it at this point, but just be careful, basically.
I hope workers are careful. And if you're suffering like this at a cultivation site, I would definitely suggest to any workers out there, keep a diary. When you get home, write down dates, times, what happened, who saw what happened. Keep a record of it. Number two, I would also consider, filing OSHA complaints and also complaints with the Cannabis Control Commission. If you're seeing awful things happen, if people are getting sick or hurt at work, you definitely have rights. Also hit us up, especially after you leave there. What would you say? What would you tell them, Carla, to any workers suffering right now at HEKA or anywhere else?
Definitely call and see if this works because you're anonymous. So definitely write it like what you said, write an article or a note, see like what the rooms are, see how they're doing it. And then if you don't think they're doing it right, speak out. Absolutely. Because then the public is going to get the bad effects of the bad weed.
And when you do a federal OSHA complaint, any employee can reach out to me. I can help you with that. But it's very easy to do. You just file a complaint about the work safety issues, and it's anonymous. So you could be working at this location. They could have a complaint filed against them. They have to respond to the complaint. They'll never know it was you. So it's anonymous 100%. The only way anyone will ever find out is if you tell them. And sometimes they do tell me later that they were the ones who filed the complaint. And I say, you're awesome. And thank you for doing that. And, so there's a lot you can do. If you need help with that, hit us up. Also, another thing, consider organizing. And I mean, union. We need some folks to get into these places and organize these young folks to stand up for their rights. And they could do that as a union. And there's people we can put them in touch with as well. So that's always another option. I hope HEKA is considering it. This sounds like it's ripe for it. Do you know any of the employees over there, Carla, that might want to talk to us about maybe starting a union or doing more?
Probably not. No, definitely not.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's definitely not a lot of people from there talking to me, unfortunately.
Not now. They're too afraid.
No. Yeah, definitely not. But hopefully one day.
Yes. And Danny helpfully put up the complaint form that you can file with OSHA. It's at osha.gov. So that's on the screen as well. It's very easy to file an OSHA complaint. I encourage people to do so, especially if you're not feeling well, if you have some medical issues that have come up. If you've seen a doctor, you have documentation, if you've been harmed. And there's also, workman's comp. I know we have a workman's comp lawyer in the family, an attorney. So if anyone needs help on that as well, we have a network of resources, and Ann Hassel and Danny Carson. There's other folks like that who have been through this process, and they can also help you as well. So we're speaking to any employees right now. If you're being treated poorly at these places, you have options. Carla, I want to thank you so much for stepping up for.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. Because a lot of people they'll go away, they'll go to the next one. And why did you decide to speak up on this?
Well, it was first unjustly, like there was no excuse as to why you're firing me, A, and B, what they're doing is just bad. Like if I would tell my best friend not to buy weed from somebody, yeah, of course, I'm going to tell the public not to buy their product from this place because I know it's bad. Don't save your money, go somewhere else, I just did it so the public knows not to waste their money on something that's just probably going to make you sick, really. That's all I really wanted to do. Just let everyone know.
Well, I hope it helps. I hope
yeah.
And I hope I think that the employees should think twice about, where they're working at too.
Yeah. And it's not like, oh, I can't wait to be a cultivator in Western Mass. It's a lot more different than you'd think at that point.
Yeah, they sell you a dream and then it turns into a nightmare.
Yeah, and now you're just watching plants grow up to die, and you're like, oh, I wish these people would listen so the plants can flourish. And you're watching them as soon as they get kind of mature, they just fry because they go into the light fixtures, which just still makes no sense. Why don't you lift the light fixtures when the plants are growing? Makes no
That
sense.
it's
Or like,
horrible.
why is it light all the time? It shouldn't be like 24/7 under the light.
I'm gonna read an email that Danny recently got from Shannon O'Brien. Do you know who Shannon O'Brien
Oh,
is? No?
no. No.
She's the former treasurer of Massachusetts. She's the first woman that was elected statewide in Massachusetts. She ran for governor of Massachusetts a few years ago against Mitt Romney. He was the Republican nominee, and Mitt Romney won. Unfortunately, I would have liked to see Governor O'Brien, but she was first woman elected to treasurer, first woman elected a statewide office in Massachusetts, and she's the new chairman of the Cannabis Control Commission. And Danny Carson wrote her a note about, worker safety for employees. And she wrote him back an email. I'm just going to read it. And this is why I have a little bit of hope, hopefully. She writes, Dear Danny, I thank you for your email. I want you to know I've taken your message seriously, and I am currently working to find both short and long-term solutions to the worker safety issues you have raised. During our monthly commission meeting yesterday, I briefly mentioned that I plan to explore this issue and hope to be able to address this more fully during our January meeting. I've already heard some good ideas from our staff and from Commissioner Roy. This is not fully fleshed out yet, so I hope you can be patient as we work to solidify some ideas that will improve transparency and safety at all cannabis businesses. Thank you. Best regards, Shannon. It sounds good. What do you think? Do you like
That sounds good. That sounds like, hey, look, we have plans. It's coming up in next month. And then maybe my story will help push it, help validate it, and hopefully things go better. I mean, that's all we can hope for at the end of the day, really. And I'm hoping other people speaking up too will help make this happen faster before anyone else gets hurt, of course.
And that's why this is a critical time too for this whole thing. Like, we're asking people to make the move now. If you have a story, if you have something to say, hit up these commissioners, because we're seeing it does make a difference. We know that they're starting to watch our show, they're listening to our podcast or responding to our emails. I sent Commissioner O'Brien your story as soon as I saw it. So, I'm sure she watched the video, Carla. So this is what we need. We need more people speaking out. So I want to thank you so much, Carla Conti, for coming on the show tonight. And hopefully something gets done here. What would your last message be, I guess, for the audience, but as well as HEKA itself, like the management there, the ownership, and the Cannabis Control
Ownership
Commission?
right now. Okay. The only thing I could say is if you have nothing to hide, then you should have your doors open right now to the public. You should show the public your grow rooms right now. If you have nothing to hide. But no one's doing any of that right now. So I think there is something that they're hiding, obviously, because they're not letting the public see. And for the public, obviously, I'm just trying to tell you guys to steer clear from them. Kind of research where they're cultivating, how they're cultivating it. This is product you're buying, you're spending your money on. Make sure it's good product and you don't get sick on it. And just stay safe, really.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on tonight, Carla.
No problem.
All right. I want to thank everyone for, watching, supporting what we've been doing. I want to thank Carla Conti for being on the show tonight. If you want to subscribe, support us long-term, definitely please check us out, midnightmass.substack.com, anchor.fm/The Young Jerks. You can also contribute financially to us monthly. There is a little cost to us doing this through our StreamYard every month, as well as some liability insurance that we cover. We're also going to be doing a lot more. We have some events that we're hopefully going to be announcing very soon. I want to thank all of our supporters, our listeners, especially the ones who subscribe on iTunes and listen to us religiously. Thank you. And thank you for sharing it. I'm Mike Crawford. I'm not sure I can't even talk tonight, when we will be back, but it will be very soon, I'm sure. Because again, we're working on this. And if you have any tips, send them to us. Send them to us. mjcboston1@yahoo.com. If you're a worker and you want to reach out right now, tell us your story. We're always looking. I'm going to put it up right now. You can also send us a voicemail. Cannabis workers, send your tips. mjcboston1@yahoo.com or voicemail 978-560-3155. Mike Crawford checking out. I want to thank Danny Carson for the great news that the email that he got back from the chair of the Cannabis Control Commission. That was awesome. I want to thank Carla Conti. I want to thank Ann Hassel. I want to thank so many folks who have been supporting cannabis workers and Lorna McMurray's family. I want to stay to Laura to just keep as strong as you can be. Keep surviving, because we're not giving up, and we want to see good things happen for Lorna on this. Mike Crawford checking out. We'll talk to you real soon. Young Jerks. Later, people.